So from here in this video, we will study where Mr. Adolf Knight, the scientist, has come to his boss, Mr. Bolem, and he has prepared all his notes, all his uh, points to pitch his idea of making this machine. I mean, the machine is already made. The idea that we can use this machine for a different purpose. So Adolf Knight placed the folder in front of his boss, and he said, "Look, Mr. Bolem, look at this." So, and then he poured his story. He told everything. He opened the folder. The boss opened the folder. Okay. Pushed the plane in front of the astonished little man. So the boss, he looked for an hour, examined everything, and then he, matlab, Adolf Knight told everything to his boss. The boss listened, read, understood. You know what I think, Knight? You are nuts. So the boss did not believe what Adolf Knight was saying. This is from a scientist. When they say something special, something path-breaking, something that has never been done, people tend to doubt them. This is nothing new. So the boss said, "You are a nut," means you are a fool. But then he said to himself, "Be careful." Mr. Bolem timed himself. Treat him carefully. He is a valuable asset to the company. So he is a very important scientist. So if he goes away, the company will fall down. I mean, will fall apart. If only he did not look so awful with his horse nose and big teeth. So the owner is saying he is a good asset, but he looks so ugly. Iska chehra ghoda ki tarah hai, taap kitna bada bada. He would look better if he would look something else. This fellow had as big ear as leaves. Rhubarb leaves are very big leaves found in UK. They're saying he looks ugly, he has a very big ears and he horse's face and it looks so ugly. But Mr. Bolem, it will work. I will prove it to you. You cannot deny it. Take it easy now. Knight, take it easy. Listen to me. Adolf Knight watched this man, Malik Bolem. He is liking him every more second. His idea, Mr. Bolem said, is very ingenious, very creative. I might almost say brilliant. And it goes to confirm my opinion of your ability. So the Malik, the owner, the boss, the head of this institute, he is trying to flatter his junior Adolf Knight because he cannot say simply on the face कि तुम जाओ निकलो. They're saying you are very capable, okay, but don't take it so seriously, my boy. What possible use it can be? Saying अगर बन भी जाए, मतलब let's say कि machine possible है, तो फायदा क्या हो? What on earth will it do by writing stories? क्या इसमें पैसा है कोई? So scientist is saying, "Sir, may I sit down?" So the boss says, "Yes, sit down." Adolf Knight, the scientist, sat down on the edge, on the side of the chair because he was excited. The older man watched him with alert eyes, wondering what he will say. "I would like to explain you something, if I may. How about I come to do all this thing?" They're saying, "आपको ये बताना जा रहे हैं कि हम actually ये क्यों किए?" Okay, go ahead. So the boss said, "Okay, बताओ क्या क्यों किए तुम ये सब बताओ." He would have to be humored a little, Mr. Bolem thought. Mr. Bolem thought कि थोड़ा सुन के खुश कर देते हैं ना तो बोल नहीं है तो थोड़ा मतलब diplomatic way से ना बोल देते हैं. He's a genius. His value is as worth as gold. Just look at his papers. The honest thing he ever saw. मतलब ऐसा किसी ने सोचा नहीं था. Astonishing piece of work, surprising piece of work, quite useless, but no commercial value. अभी तक Mr. Bolem को पता नहीं है कि the idea of Adolf Knight can make him one of the richest men in Europe. But it can prove valuable. It is a sort of confession, I suppose, Mr. Bolem. I think this is why I explained the kind of weird. So, employee scientist बोलना चाह रहा, "सर हम कुछ confess करना चाहते हैं." The boss is saying, "Okay, say. No, nothing to worry. Say, I'm there to help you." You know what? The man claps his hand together tight on his lap, hugging himself with his elbow, as if he was feeling cold. So the Adolf Knight, the scientist, is saying his personal story to his boss. "You see, Mr. Bolem, to tell you the truth, I don't really care much about the work." He's saying, "इनको इस work में कुछ अच्छा नहीं लगता है. I know I'm good at it, but my heart is not there." अब मिस्टर बोलिन को डर लगने लगा कहीं ये रिजाइन ना दे, चला ना जाए. "You see, sir, all my life I wanted to be a writer." Mr. Bolin says, "Writer? Yes, Mr. Bolam, employee adult Navy saying. You may not believe it, but every bit of spare time, मतलब जो भी उनको free time मिलता है, I have spent writing stories. In the last 10 years, I have written 100 stories, literally hundreds of stories. Actually, exactly, I have written 566 stories, approximately one a week. हर हफ्ता उसमें एक स्टोरी लिखता है, मतलब 566 वीक में उसने 566 स्टोरीज लिखा. गुड हेवंस, व्हाट ऑन अर्थ डिड यू डू दैट फॉर? तो saying लिख के फायदा क्या है, क्या क्यों लिखा तुमने? मतलब सर आई हैव द अर्ज, मतलब लिखने का एक पैशन, एक मतलब जैसे drunkards have an urge to drink, you know, people who drink tea, they have an urge to drink tea at a particular time, so he has the urge to write. What sort of urge? The creative urge, Mr. Bolan. Every time you looked up, you saw Bolan's lips. They were growing thinner and thinner. Purple color change हो रहा था lips का. May I ask you, what do you do with stories now? So the boss is asking scientists कि तुम ये story लिख के करते क्या हो? Well, sir, that's the trouble. No one will buy them. Each time I finish one, I send it to out on the round. It goes from one magazine to the other, and they simply get back, and it's very depressing. So the scientist is saying that that's a problem. हम कहानी लिखते जा रहे, लिखते जा रहे, लिखते जा रहे, and sending from one journal to one publishing house to other publishing house, and they're rejecting it. It's very depressing. Mr. Bolam, relax. I can see quite well how you feel, my boy. So the owner, Mr. Bolam, is trying to, convince, trying to pacify, trying to make him happy. मतलब सांत्वना दे रहा है, थोड़ा सा pat on the back type. So the boss is saying, I know how you feel. His voice was dripping with sympathy. We all go through it in life sometimes. But now that you have proved positive proof from the expert that you don't have it, I would rather say unsuccessful, it's time to leave. बोले ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो छोड़ दो. Forget it, my boy, just forget it. No, Mr. Bolam, no, that's not true. I know my stories are good. So employee बोल रहा है कि सर मेरा कहानी बहुत अच्छा है. You can compare them with the best stories written in the magazine. लेकिन वो अच्छा कहानी में लोग पागल है. Wait a minute, boy, wait a minute. So मालिक से नौकर मतलब एम्प्लॉय पूछ रहा है, सर डू यू रीड मैगजीन्स? पार्डन मी नाइट, बट दैट इज ऑल गॉट टू डू विद मैगजीन. बोला ठीक है, अच्छा सॉरी, लेकिन हम पढ़ते हैं नहीं पढ़ते, उससे क्या मतलब? एवरीथिंग मिस्टर बोले, एब्सोल्युटली एवरीथिंग. व्हाट आई वांट टू टेल यू इज दैट आई हैव मेड अ स्टडी ऑफ द मैगजीन. बोला मैंने सारे मैगजीन्स पढ़े जहाँ ये नए नए कहानी छपते हैं. इट सीम्स दैट दे हैव अ पर्टिकुलर ट्रेंड. द राइटर्स, द सक्सेसफुल वन, दे राइट अकॉर्डिंग टू इट. जस्ट अ मिनट माय बॉय, calm down. I don't think all this is getting us anywhere. मालिक बोल रहे सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन ये सब इससे फायदा क्या है? पैसा कहाँ है? मनी मनी कहाँ है? प्लीज मिस्टर बोलम, हियर मी आउट. सो एम्प्लॉय सेइंग, सर मेरा बात ध्यान से सुन लीजिए. अब बात सुनिए तो आपको समझ में आएगा. Mr. Bolam, hear me out. It's terribly important. He paused to catch his breath. He was probably walked up, very excited. The scientist is very excited, throwing his hand around as he talked, the long toothy face with the big ear and simply sewn, मतलब उसका बड़ा बड़ा कान, excited और मुंह में saliva आ रहा है. You see, on my machine, by having adjustable coordinates, मतलब मैं ऐसा machine बनाऊंगा, machine में लगा दूंगा plot, memory. Okay. Yes, I know, knife, I know, this is interesting, but what's the point? He says, ठीक है, तुम story, plot, कहानी, dialogue सब लगा दोगे, लेकिन इससे फायदा क्या है? Just this, Mr. Bolan, the market is unlimited. He says, market बहुत अच्छा है. We've got to produce right kind of stuff. Business अच्छा होगा. It's a commercial proposition. It's a commercial success proposition. कौन बोल रहा है? The scientist is saying to his owner, employer, sir, it's a business proposition. My dear boy, it can't possibly be a commercial venture, a proposition or idea. You know as well as I do, it costs to build one of these machines. इतना बड़ा business machine कौन बनाएगा? He's saying sir, machine यही रहेगा, हम लोग इसको use करेंगे इससे. Well, sir, but with due respect, I don't believe you know what magazines pay for stories. He says, sir, आप समझ नहीं रहे इसको, बहुत पैसा है. कितना पैसा? What do they pay? So he's saying $500. Mr. Bolan jumped up. Yes, sir, it's true. Absolutely impossible. Boss is saying it's possible. No, sir, it's true. You mean to sit here and tell me that these magazines pay money just for scribbling and writing the stories? Writers must be millionaires. So ये बोल रहा कहानी लिखने में इतना पैसा है. So the scientist is saying, yes, sir, they are. And the machine comes in, listen, well, sir, I tell you some more. I have got all worked out. The big machines are carrying approximately 3 fiction stories in each issue. He's saying कि हर magazine में 3 imaginary कहानी होता है. And now take 15 most important magazines. ऐसे हम लोग 15 magazines से contact करेंगे और आधा भी बिका, so that is 40,000. So we can have a lot in the market. My dear boy, you are mad. No, sir, honestly, it's true. Don't you see, with volumes alone, we can make overwhelm. This is हम लोग इतना कहानी लिखेंगे, इतना कहानी हमारे पास होगा कि we can control half the market. The machine can produce 5,000 word a story in 30 seconds. This is वो writers लोग को कहानी लिखने में time लगता है, हम लोग 30 seconds में story बना देंगे. And writers cannot compete with the fast machine. I asked you, Mr. Molem, how? At this point, adult might notice a change in his employer's facial expression. His eyes was now shining, and he was willing to invest. Now, Mr. Bolem, the handmade article is saying, देखिए handmade article जो है ये अच्छा तो होता है, लेकिन इसका मास प्रोडक्शन नहीं होता. जैसे कारपेट, चेयर, किचन का चम्मच चम्मच कुकरी, ब्रिक, ये सब मशीन से ही तो बन के आता है. क्वालिटी थोड़ा कम ही सही, लेकिन मास स्केल में जल्दी तो मिलता है. जब कुकरी, कारपेट, चेयर सब कुछ मशीन से बन सकता है, तो कहानी भी बन सकता है. Now the boss got interested. He was leaning, but he's still saying it possible. Possible. 40,000 a week. I don't know, sir, एक हफ्ता में $40,000. If we have half the price, we will make 20,000 एक week में. You will get million a year. But seriously, now, do you think people will buy machine-made stories? जैसे कहानी अगर मशीन लिखेगा तो खरीदेगा. Listen, Mr. Bolam, what an author is going to want customized stories when they can get half the price? They saying किसको इंसान और मशीन से पढ़ा, लोगों को इंटरेस्टिंग लाजवाब कहानी चाहिए, चाहे वो मशीन प्रोड्यूस करे, चाहे चैट जीपीटी, चाहे बार्ड, चाहे कहीं से भी, चाहे वो जवान, चाहे पठान देखना पड़े. Okay, so people want interesting stories. चाहे वो चैट जीपीटी से चाहिए ग्रेट ग्रामेटाइजर से. How will we sell them now? The boss is, कबड्डी घेराव में आ चुका है. He is in the trap. And the salesman who is selling his ideas. He's saying, how will sell them? Do you really think they will buy? They say, Mr. Bolam. So he's saying, yes, sir. We'll set up a literary agent, and through that we will distribute and people will buy them. So the boss still doesn't, not he's 100% convinced. So he says, I don't like it, Nai. To me, there's a smack of trickery. So इसमें धोखा नहीं होगा. मशीन लिखेगा और हम लोग बोल देंगे इंसान लिखा है, तो ऐसा धोखा नहीं होगा. So there is another thing. So he is convincing the boss by giving him another lure. उसको और लालची एक लालच का आइटम दे रहा. बोला सर ये तो कहानी बेच के होगा, फिर हम लोग फेमस हो जाएंगे तो हम लोग बाकी प्रोडक्ट ऐड करेंगे, चम्मच, किताब, किंडल, बुक, लैपटॉप. सो बाय प्रोडक्ट, ओके, सो अलग से इनकम होगा. इट्स अ बिग बिजनेस. So the boss is saying, Mr. Bolem is saying to Adult, don't get too ambitious. And the other thing, isn't any reason why you should not put your name, Mr. Bolem is saying कि और एक बात है सर, एक तो पैसा आएगा, दूसरा हम लोग बहुत सारा प्रोडक्ट बेचेंगे राइटर का नाम के साथ, और आप भी फेमस हो जाएगा. The boss, the owner, the head will become famous. He says, the best stories we will write, Mr. Bolem, as a writer. My goodness, now what should I want that for? He says, इसका क्या होगा, मैं इस नाम का क्या करूँगा? I don't know, sir, but some writer get so much of respect, like all this famous writer of America or Europe. So you will also be famous. Mr. Bolem is saying कि पैसा भी मिल रहा है, फेम भी मिल रहा है, और बाई प्रोडक्ट भी हो सकता है. saying writer, जैसे सब तो क्लब में सब लोग अपना नाम वो सोच रहा है मेरा नाम हो जाएगा. That's all right, Mr. Bolem. For a moment, a dreamy, faraway look came into Mr. Bolem's eyes. And he smiled. Then he steered himself and began to leaf through the plan. अब जो है, the owner is now going through the pages of the plan. And now he have started believing in the idea of adult knife. One thing I don't quite understand. Where do the plot come from? He says, हमको एक बात समझा दो कि कहानी का plot आता कहाँ से? Machine cannot probably produce invent the plots. We feed them, sir. बोले हम लोग machine में सब plot, story, dialogue, character, language सब डाल के रखते हैं. जैसे chat GPT में, जैसे internet. There's no problem, sir. Everyone has plot. There is 300 or 400 of them written down in a folder. We can feed them. Memory का एक section होगा, go on. अलग-अलग section होगा. Okay. And we will use a trick कि हर जैसे एक writer जो है दिस मेक्स द रीडर थिंक. मैंने हर एक राइटर क्या करता है, कभी कभी एक एक पेज में कोई भारी भरकम वर्ड यूज कर सकता है. उससे क्या होता है कि लोग समझते हैं बहुत ही एक्सपर्ट है. एंड ही सेड एक्सपेजिटिकली. ही इज आल्सो यूजिंग द सेम टेक्निक्स. ही इज मेकिंग फन. ही इज यूजिंग ए हार्ड वर्ड okay as a sarcastic in a sarcastic tone. So here in this paragraph the author is saying कि अक्सर ऑथर लोग कोई जानबूझ के भारी भरकम वर्ड लिखते हैं ताकि लोग उनको समझे बहुत रिफाइंड, बहुत ही कल्चर. सो हियर ही इज सेइंग कि वी विल हैव डिफरेंट टेक्निक. एक प्लॉट का सेक्शन होगा, एक डायलॉग का सेक्शन, एक स्टोरी का सेक्शन, एक लैंग्वेज का सेक्शन, और हम लोग उस सेक्शन के हिसाब से सब कुछ अरेंज कर देते हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द डेज द टू मेन डिस्कस. पूरा दिन एडल्ट नाइफ एंड वॉल्यूम इसका प्रोज एंड कॉन्स डिस्कस करते रहे. नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग ही वाज क्वाइट एंथुसियास्टिक. तो मिस्टर बोलेम जो है आप कन्विंस हो गए. He has completely bought the idea. What we will have to do now is to say that we are merely building another mathematical calculator, but out of a new type. So he's saying कि हम लोग इस mathematical, we say so we are merely building another mathematical calculator that will keep a secret. So saying ऐसा ही मशीन हम लोग बनाएंगे और इसी मशीन में या ऐसे मशीन में हम लोग secretly काम करेंगे. And in 6 months the machine was completed. ऐसा ही मॉडल का जो कैलकुलेटर वाला मशीन का सब पार्ट उसमें मतलब वैसे ही पार्ट उससे हो गया. It was in a separate building ready for action and no one was allowed there except Mr. Bolem and adult Knight. It was an exciting moment when the two men, one short, मतलब दोनों का कंपैरिजन है कि एक छोटा है, मोटा है, ओके, और एक लंबा और पतला है. So the machine was made, okay, and there were lots of plugs and switch and huge glass होता है machine में valves घूमता है ऐसे. Both of them were very nervous. Which button adult Knife said? You choose, Mr. Bolem. Lots of machine to pick. Saturday evening अलग अलग है कि आप ऐसा मैगजीन जैसा चाहते हैं, ऐसा चाहते हैं, लेडीज जर्नल चाहते हैं. Good goodness, my boy, how do I know? He was jumping up and down. Mr. Bolem said, Knife, do you realize at this moment your little finger, like Jawan, has a power to become the most versatile writer on the continent? He says कि इस उंगली से आप प्रेस कीजिएगा और आप इस प्लेनेट के सबसे अच्छे राइटर बन सकते हैं. Listen, Knife, just get on. He says हमको बहुत डर लग रहा, नर्वस हो रहा, तुम कोई भी एक तो पैनल, कोई भी एक ऑप्शन सिलेक्ट करके छापो. Okay, Mr. Bolem, he's saying to his boss. Let me see. He extended his one finger and pressed a button which says women's printing machine. मैंने women लोग को जो कहानी चाहिए वैसा, और फिर ये 2-4 क्लिक किए. So much for the selection. Now here we go. He reached up and pulled the switch on the panel. एक switch चालू किए. The room was filled with a sound. Electric चालू हो गया. Okay, levers चालू घूमने लगे. Okay, paper निकलने लगा. Okay, print out हो गया. That is adult knife cried. That is a story. They grabbed the paper और पेपर में लिखा हुआ था कुछ gibberish, मैंने उसमें कुछ मीनिंग नहीं था. The style was roughly similar. Mr. Bolen began to shout. He said, तुमने कहा था कहानी होगा, कहाँ कुछ हुआ, कुछ भी तो नहीं हुआ. That's all right, sir. It needs a few adjustments. We have got a connection wrong somewhere, and you must remember, Mr. Bolen, there is over 1 million feet in writing in this room. It is 1 million तरीका कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ, ठीक हो जाएगा. Boss is saying it will never work. It will work, sir. Be patient, sir. It will work. Adult Knife said to discover the fault, and in 4 days, the machine was again ready. Again, the boss, adult knife, is saying it will not work. No, sir, it will. So फिर ये उन्होंने पब्लिश किया, मतलब प्रिंट किया. आपकी रीडर डाइजेस्ट उसका छोटा सा हुआ. सो द बॉस इज सेइंग इतना छोटा, इसे हाँ सर रीडर डाइजेस्ट में छोटा ही होता है. लेकिन अब की बार जो था बिना स्पेस के था. few people know the revolutionary discoveries which may bring permanent, these are words, you have to remove the space, a dreadful disease of the time. So he's saying no sir, you can't see, just a few adjustments, फिर ये space हट जाएगा, फिर ठीक हो जाएगा. And indeed it was. In the next few tries everything was perfect, even the punctuation was perfect. The first story then ran off for a famous woman magazine. It was a solid plotty story, मैंने इसमें प्लॉट बहुत अच्छा था. क्या प्लॉट था कि एक लड़का था, वो एक अमीर लड़की को किडनैप करता है और किडनैप करने के बाद उसको खुद ही बचाता है. और द गर्ल, लड़की को बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि बहुत अच्छा लड़का है, लेकिन उसके पापा को डाउट होता है. तो पापा उस लड़के को पकड़ के पूछते हैं, लड़का रोने लगता है और ये सब बता देता है. द बॉय एक्सप्लेन्स एवरीथिंग. सो द फादर फील्स पिटी ऑन द बॉय and appoints him as a department, as a person officer in his accounts department, and the boy and the girl get married. Typical Hindi serial type of. The girl admired his honesty. The father promised him a job in the accounts department, and they got married. It is tremendous, Mr. Golem. It seems a bit sloppy to me. So this old man is saying, "ये थोड़ा अजीब नहीं, ये थोड़ा cheap type." He's saying, "No, sir, यही बिकता है." In his excitement, Adult Knife prompted ran 6 of the stories. So excitement में जो Adult Knife और 6 कहानी जो है उसने लिख डाला. मैंने लिख डाला मतलब प्रिंट कर डाला. All of them except one, सब अच्छे कहानी थे. एक कुछ ज्यादा ट्रिफली लिविड सेक्सुअल हो गया. मिस्टर बोलेम was bit mollified. मैंने कहा शॉक, कितना गंदा गंदा बात कैसे हो गया. मतलब कुछ इमोशंस का जो स्विच ज्यादा हो गया. He agreed to set up a literary agent. He said ठीक है मैं एक ऑफिस खोलूंगा, उसके थ्रू हम लोग ये न्यूज मतलब सारे जगह बेचेंगे. मैंने we will send the stories to different houses. In a couple of weeks this was accomplished. Then Knight mailed out the first dozen stories. He put his own name to 4 of them. मतलब कुछ स्टोरी मालिक के नाम से, ओनर के नाम से छपता, कुछ अडल्ट नाइफ के नाम से छपता. इन्वेंटेड नाम कुछ भी. 5 of the stories were promptly accepted. मतलब कहानी एक्सेप्ट होने लगा. The one Mr. Bolem name on it turned out, मतलब एडिटर पहले एक दो स्टोरी रिजेक्ट हुआ जो मिस्टर बोलेम के नाम के था. इसमें एडिटर ने लिखा अच्छा कोशिश है, फिर ट्राई कीजिए. फिर नाम बदल के थोड़ा चेंज करके they started accepting, money started coming in. Okay, now adults slowly and carefully stepped out. In 6 months they were delivering 30 stories a week and selling half of it. So it's huge money. बटन तो प्रेस करना है. began to make himself a name, और दोनों का नाम हो गया मिस्टर बोनेम और नाइफ का. they became very famous as a writer without writing anything. So Knife was building a dozen of और बहुत सारे imaginary author का नाम हो गया. At this point it was decided that now they have been writing stories. Now they are planning, I mean the scientist Adult Knife is planning, or Mr. Bolem is also thinking that they should write stories. So the owner, Mr. Bolen, is saying, I want to do novel. That you will do, sir. Be patient. It's a very complicated adjustment, but we will do novel. Everybody tells me, abhi Banauti, Chuta, Mr. Bolem has become famous as a writer. So now everybody is telling him that you should write a novel. All sorts of publishers are chasing after me and night begging me to stop fooling around with stories and do something important. He's saying कि अब सारे लोग बोल रहे हैं मिस्टर बोलेन हु इज नाउ assumed to be a author कि आप एक नॉवेल लिखिए. स्टॉप राइटिंग स्टोरीज, आप महान ऑथर है, आप नॉवेल लिखिए. Now listen to me, Knife. I'm going to do a serious novel. He's saying कि मैं एक serious novel, meaningful, जहाँ लोग ध्यान दे, सुने, मतलब लाइफ लोगों का चेंज हो. So now Mr. Owner is saying, head is saying to his junior, Adult Knife, You are right, taking all the good stories for yourself and all you're making a monkey of me. So he's saying, sir, monkey, no, sir, no. He's saying, now I'm going to write an intelligent book. Not write actually, and do an intelligent book. This was true. For another couple of months, okay, Adolf Knife started working on this नॉवेल बुक, मतलब मशीन को ऐसा बनाने लगा कि उससे नॉवेल लिखा जा सके। तो सिस्टम में उसमें प्री सिलेक्ट किया जा सकता है कि आपको कैसा चाहिए। जैसे मतलब प्लेन के अंदर जो जहाँ पायलट होते इतना सारा बोर्ड होता है, वैसे ये भी मशीन बन चुका है। ओके, सो मशीन में अलग अलग यू कैन सिलेक्ट हिस्टोरिकल और पॉलिटिकल और रोमांटिक और ह्यूमरस और इरोटिक। ओके, उसके बाद सब उसमें लिमिट है कि आपको सिविल वॉर के टाइम का कहानी चाहिए कि रेशियल मतलब सटारिकल स्टोरी होगा, विल इट बी बेस्ड इन अ कंट्री और चाइल्डहुड मेमोरीज और सी फियरिंग और एनी मोर। फिर दूसरा कॉलम है कि आपके स्टाइल में लिखना है। पहला है कि किस टॉपिक में लिखना है, उसका बैकग्राउंड क्या होगा। तीसरा बटन है कि वो किसके स्टाइल में लिखना है, हेमिंगवे, फॉलकनर, जेम्स जॉयसी, फेमिनाइन स्टोरी। सो सब अलग 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 सेक्शन है, चुनने के बाद कुछ भी लिखा सकता है। ओके, और ऐसे ही राइटिंग प्रोसेस जो है इन लोग का चलता रहा। एंड टू डू दिस दे हैड टू ऐड मोर आई मीन लेवल। By doing so, they were continuously writing stories. There are lots of dials, okay, and each dashboard you can fix up certain things. Finally, the question was of passion. मतलब बहुत सारा सब घुमाने का डायल था, और एक लास्ट में डायल था passion. From a careful study of books at the bestseller, Adolf Knife has made a assumption, a reading, analysis of deconstruction. मतलब बहुत उसने मंथन करके निकाला है कि बेस्ट सेलर में क्या क्या होता है। So best seller के सारे ingredients they are putting into this machine, so that the machine can also produce a novel which will be a best seller. But Knife also knew the passion was powerful, heady stuff and must be prudently dispersed. तो ये समझ गया कि पैशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, पैशन से ही जो है लोग अच्छा नॉवेल लिखते हैं। सो वहाँ एक ब्रेक जैसा था, एक कंट्रोल पैनल जैसा था, उसके हिसाब से सब कुछ ज्यादा कम होगा। One pedestal governed the percentage of passion, the other regulated the intensity. एक में पैशन कितना होगा, एक में इंटेंसिटी कितना होगा। जैसे वो प्लेन में ब्रेक और एक्सीलेटर होता है। Now when all was ready, Mr. Okay, he brought Mr. Bolam into the machine and he said, "Sir, आप चलाइए." ड्राइवर सीट में बिठा। Now the owner was very afraid. He's saying, ऐसा कैसे होगा? It wasn't seem easy. But after many hours of practice, Mr. Bolan began to get an idea of it. And he produced his first novel. Okay. He said, मेरा नॉवेल जो होना चाहिए वो सटायरिकल होना चाहिए। सब्जेक्ट रेशियल मैंने ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट के बारे में। क्लासिकल मतलब ट्रेडिशनल स्टाइल में होना चाहिए। कैरेक्टर्स कितने होने चाहिए? 6, 4 men और 1 in स्मॉल बच्चा। लेंथ कितना? 15 चैप्टर। ये सब लिखने के बाद उसने लिख दिया कि उसमें पावर, मिस्ट्री, प्रोफाउंड होना चाहिए। आर यू रेडी सर? इज यस। ना पुल द स्विच, स्विच चालू किए। द ग्रेट इंजन हम, जैसे डीप विंडिंग सम, कॉग ऑफ द मशीन, लीवर, वॉल्व सब चलने लगा, और हर एवरी 2 seconds में पेपर आने लगा। Mr. Bolin began to get panic. ओके, इतना सारा पेडल जैसे गाड़ी का ड्राइवर में होता है। ओके, स्टॉप किया। सो द साइंटिस्ट इज सेइंग टू हिज ओनर, congratulations sir for your first novel, but you got it done, you got it done. Yes sir, see. So like a mother delivers a child, Mr. Bolin has delivered his first novel into the nation. So he is very interested. He's saying, after reading it, saying it's very outrageous, मैंने कुछ ज्यादा ही रोमांटिक नहीं, बोल्ड हो गया। So he's saying, सर बोल्ड नहीं हुआ, इस फ्रूटी हुआ, इससे बहुत फ्रूट मिलेगा, बहुत फायदा मिलेगा। He's saying के तो मतलब the owner is thinking कि ये जो एम्प्लॉई है एडल्फ नाइव इज प्लेइंग सम काइंड ऑफ ट्रिक ऑन मी, सेज कि व्हाई आर यू प्लेइंग ट्रिक ऑन मी, ऐसा ऊट पटांग नॉवेल मेरे नाम से तुम चाहते हो। सो ये बोला सर ऊट पटांग नहीं है, ये ऐसा हुआ है मशीन में पैडल का सिस्टम है, तो आपने पैशन वाला पैडल को कुछ ज्यादा दबा दिया, इसीलिए थोड़ा ज्यादा सा रोमांटिक और मतलब वल्गर और सेक्सुअल ज्यादा हो गया। तो ठीक है, Within a week, the manuscript has been read and accepted. So दूसरा बार ट्राई किया कि आपके बार जो है नॉवेल में थोड़ा सेक्स और वो रोमांस इरोटिसिज्म कम हुआ. Within a week, the manuscript was ready and was accepted. So in no time, adult literary magazine had become famous. माने मैगजीन फेमस हो गया है और पूरा मतलब लिटरेरी सर्कल में एडल्ट नाइफ को और मिस्टर बोलेम को सब लोग जान गए. It was at this stage adult knife began to have so real talent for business. अब इसको सोच रहा है कि हम इस बिजनेस को एक्सपैंड करें. क्या प्रोपोजिशन है? Mr. Bolam now was wearing a different color jacket. He has become famous. So he's saying, sir, we want to observe writers. Writers लोग हम लोग खरीदना चाहते. Of course you can. Exactly like, so he's saying कैसे होगा? He's saying, sir, जैसे रॉकफेलर ने छोटे छोटे कंपनियों को खरीद लिया था, हम भी खरीद लेंगे. So he's saying, I've made a list of writers. I will go and contact them and I will say, okay, you don't have to write anything. We will use your name and we will sell our stories. They will never agree. Boss is saying, वो लोग agree नहीं होंगे. What about the creative urge? He's saying कि उन लोगों का लिखने का चाहत क्या होगा? लिखेंगे नहीं तो अंदर का creativity बाहर कैसे आएगा? So he's saying, sir, that's all bunk, the nonsense. He's saying at the end, sir, everybody wants money. Okay, so he took a very big chauffeur driven, मतलब वो स्पेशल गाड़ी, महंगा गाड़ी जिसमें ड्रेस ड्राइवर होता है, उसको ले जाके he went from one writer to the other. So he told his story to one. The man listened everything and then he understood that ये कोई पागल है. उसके लिए उसको दरवाजा खोल के भगा दिया. फिर एडल्ट ने एक दूसरे और राइटर को खरीदना गया. वो बहुत सुना इस और उसके पीछे पेपर वेट लेकर दौड़ा दिया गार्डन तक उसको मारने के लिए और इतना गंदा गंदा गाली दिया कि adult knife has never heard such vulgar, abusive, obscene words in his life. ठीक है, but he was not disappointed. He went to the next third client, मैंने थर्ड पर्सन ऑथर जिसको वो कन्विंस कर सके कि मैम आप पैसा ले लीजिए और आप कुछ मत कीजिएगा, हम लोग आपके नाम से छापेंगे. So this lady is very famous for writing romantic stories. Okay, so this lady heard everything, all the stories. So the lady said, it's not possible. He said, ma'am, it's possible. Why didn't you come in my car and see? So they went to the factory and adult knife explained everything to the lady. So the ladies produced a story. जब उसने सब बटन वटन कर, वो तो उसको तो पता है ना कैसा प्लॉट, कैसा डायलॉग, कैसा सब कुछ होना चाहिए. She was very competent. She was an expert in everything. She made her pre-selection and ran off a romantic novel. And the romantic novel came out. So Adolf Knife was narrating the story to the boss. So Adolf Knife is narrating the story to the boss. The boss said, did she accept it? Yes, sir. But why? It was not money, sir. Then Knife grind and he said, simply because the machine could produce better than her. So she understood her fault, that she was mediocre and the machine was a step ahead of it. So वो चाहती थी कि मेरे नाम से जो नॉवेल छपता है वो और अच्छा छपे, चाहे मशीन का ही क्यों ना. At the end of the month, okay, he had persuaded a lot of writers, especially the young ones, because old ones are difficult to convince. Okay, old ones are easier to convince. Young people still have lots of excitement. बूढ़े लोग वो जो अब आइडिया उनको नहीं मिल रहा, फेमस नहीं है, वो लोग मान गए. लेकिन यंग लोग थोड़ा अब्यूजिव थे, कुछ थोड़ा मारपीट करते थे, बट धीरे धीरे मार्केट हो गया. एक साल में ऑलमोस्ट हर दूसरा नॉवेल जो इंग्लैंड में छपता था इंग्लिश में, दैट वाज actually not written by human being, that was produced by this great automatic grammatizer machine. So author is now directly talking to the audience. He's saying, does it surprise you? I doubt it. The worst is yet to come. Today, as a secret spread, मैंने बहुत सारे लोग secretly खुद ही जा रहे हैं और अपना नाम जो है adult knife को बेच दे रहे हैं और in return उनको पैसा मिल जा रहा है. So author is ending the story by saying, at this very moment, I'm sitting and listening to the howling of my children. He's saying, मेरे बगल वाले कमरे से बाकी सब बच्चे, मेरे छोटे छोटे बच्चे चिल्ला रहे हैं भूख से, और उसके सामने वो पेपर है जिसमें साइन कर देने से उसको पैसा मिल जाएगा. At this moment, I sit here listening to the howling of my starving, my hungry children. I can feel my own hand creeping, going closer to the contract on the desk. So at last he's praying to God, okay, God, give us the strength so that our children can starve and die, but I don't sell my conscience. Because if you sell your conscience, your writing ability, you might get money, but you will never be a complete human being. So here the author is saying at the last line that ultimate urge of a writer to become a writer is more important than the money. Because selling your conscience is worse than even depriving your child of the food. उन्हें भूखे मर जाए शायद वो पाप है, लेकिन अपने जमीर को बेचना उससे भी बड़ा पाप. So the author is in this last line proves his standpoint that he is strictly against this measure. Thank you.